Hey guys, this is going to be our last set of notes in Unit 4 for the semester. So, I got a new laptop last week. I'm having technical issues, so I'm going to have to do the notes a little bit differently for this time. And it's just one page, so it's not a lot to talk about. So, Ecological Succession basically explains how we move from bare rock to an old growth forest. Okay? So, when we get back from Christmas break, we're going to learn about how rock is weathered, broken down to slowly create dirt. So how do we come from an environment that is just rock and get an extensive forest grown on top of it? Well, obviously it's going to take hundreds of years, but it's an easy process to understand. Now, when we have initial colonization in an area like this, it's going to be easiest for generalists or our strategists to move in here. And so some of the first things that we see here are lichens, and I'm going to add some stuff on here, so please write with me, guys. So we have lichens and we have moss. Okay? These two are collectively called pioneer species. They're called pioneer species because they are the first organisms to live in this environment. Okay? These seeds are going to come from bird droppings. It's going to come from wind, from water, anything that can move seeds around from place to place. So the moss and the lichens slowly break down the rock into dirt. Okay. Then we have small annual plants and lichens show up, and annual means that they only are around for a year. Okay. So over time, these organisms are going to have to adapt to these conditions. And so you see right here, we have very shallow soil, and over time it's going to grow deeper and deeper, and that's because of decomposition. So when these initial pioneer species die, it's going to put all of those nutrients into the ground, which is going to create more fertile soil, which means more complex organisms can come in. So after we have our small annual plants and lichens, we then move into grasses and perennials. So perennials are going to be things that come back every year. Okay. Through in this area right here, we'll probably have some small mammals start to move in. So that's going to create through their droppings and their death and decay, more fertile soil. So then we move into smaller trees, shrubs, and other things that can be more shade tolerant because you're going to have larger trees cast shadows. And then through time, we have our Climax Community, which is essentially our old growth forest. Okay, so this takes hundreds of years. Now, a lot of times, back here in the beginning with bare rock, you'll see glaciers involved in this as well, because glaciers will thaw, refreeze every summer and winter. And so it causes this movement, this friction back and forth over the rocks, which will also create soil as well. Okay, so this is called primary succession because it is first. All right, it is the first succession to happen. Now, let's say lightning strikes this Climax Community. Okay, it burns down some of the forest. Now the question is, when it rebuilds itself, is it going to be going through the same process? Is it going to be starting from scratch? And the answer is no, because you already have a very established soil system here. All of those seeds have fallen into the ground from the trees and the other grasses and shrubs that have burned. So this is secondary succession. This is going to happen second. So this is going to be after an ecological disturbance. Okay? So it will affect the total biomass, the species richness, and the net productivity, meaning that the total biomass is going to have to build back up again because it was taken out by this disaster. The species richness is also going to be in decline initially. It has to build back up, as well as productivity, which is photosynthesis. So fire in small controlled amounts can be good for an ecosystem. It puts nutrients back into the soil. It gets rid of diseased trees. So in small doses, it's really good. So the secondary succession, it happens within a matter of around 150 years or less. So it's a much faster process because we're not starting from scratch here. The soil is already there. Okay? So hopefully you guys understand the difference between ecological, the primary and the secondary succession. Make sure that you're able to identify the pioneer species and what they are there to do. They're there to start the breakdown of rocks to produce soil. Okay? So we are at the end of Unit 4 with these notes. So we'll start after the break talking about dirt.